Welcome to this restorative yoga practice for healing. My name is Angela, and in this practice, we will indulge in supported stillness in order to relax in our bodies and minds. This practice is for everyone and will have profound effects on our nervous systems. Relaxing our nervous systems bring us into a deep healing space for our whole self. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy this practice as much as I enjoy sharing it. In a restorative yoga practice, we want to make sure we are fully supported in order for the asanas or postures to feel easeful in our bodies. We want to let our bodies passively open and relax rather than work for a deep stretch. So the key words here are let rather than work. For this reason, lots of props are suggested. Here I have a yoga chair. I have 2 blocks, a strap, 2 Mexican blankets, and a bolster. So get creative here. Maybe you have some of these props, maybe you have all of them, maybe you have none of them. So take some time here to find some pillows with different levels of firmness, maybe some firm blankets, a stack of books or any firm boxes. Maybe some furniture can replace that chair if you're near a sofa. Otherwise, maybe bringing a dining room chair. The strap, I have an 8-foot strap here. For what we're going to use it for, it should be at least 6 feet. So if you don't have a strap or a belt that long, don't worry. I'll also tell you a variation without it, or you actually don't really absolutely need it. It's just kind of like the icing on the cake for that particular posture. So take some time here to get set up with your props. So you can pause this recording now, and when you're all ready, resume and we'll get to it. And for those of you who have their props and everything they need, we will begin the practice with some slightly more active movements and breath work to release any tension in the body. So that way it's easier to find stillness in the restorative portion. But I promise we will bring this to a restorative point. But to start out, for our more active practice, we're going to come to a comfortable seat. So I'm going to come to a supported virasana pose. I'm sitting on my shin bones, sitting back on my heels, and I'm actually going to take one of our props, a block here, to support my sit bones. Now maybe you take this exact posture, maybe you find more blankets or props to sit higher, maybe you find a simple cross-legged if that feels better in your body. Just make sure you elevate the hips, and this whole portion can also be done on a chair if you're more comfortable sitting on a chair. So set yourself up here. And wherever you are, we'll rest the hands on the thighs, and we're just going to find a seated cat-cow, tying our movement with breath. So as you inhale, lift the chest, press the ribs forward, rounding through the back of the spine. And then as you exhale, we're going to take it the opposite direction. So let the chest cave in. Inhale, lifting the chest, and exhale, cave it in. And just find a few rounds of this with your own breath, just really thinking about airing out the front and back of the spine, the front and back of the body. Make it nice, nourishing movements, not forceful. We're just looking to find some energy in the spine and clear out any stagnation. So after your next exhalation, we'll inhale back to that center point. So right between the cat-cow we were taking. And from here, just let the arms lift up nice and high, stretching through the side ribs. And we'll take our right hand on the floor or maybe the seat behind us and the left hand on the opposite thigh, finding a twist here. Inhale to lift and exhale, twist. Following that action with your breath, inhale, lift, exhale, twist. Now don't push or force yourself into any depth of a twist. Just make this nice and easeful, getting that nice stretch in the entire left side body, maybe in the head and neck as you gaze over the right shoulder. And just a nice few easeful breaths here, letting the abdomen expand with the breath. Lovely. Our next inhalation can rotate us back to center. Let those arms float up, and we'll take the twist to the other side. So release that left hand behind you and the right hand on the opposite thigh. Inhale, lift, exhale, twist. Inhale, lift, grounding into the sit bones, and exhale, twist over to your left. And maybe your gaze comes over that left shoulder. Nice, easeful twist, working on freedom in the whole torso. Next inhalation, let yourself revolve back to center. And we're going to release the elbows out to the side and take the 4 fingers on the front of our shoulders and just let that thumb rest on the back. So feel your shoulders lengthen apart from each other through the elbows, and almost feel as though there's a dowel or something on your back body that's holding each elbow in that nice straight line opposite from each other. And we're going to take this movement into the thoracic spine, so the upper back, working to get room in the shoulder blades and chest. So pretend you're kayaking. I just kayaked for the first time this summer, so if you're not sure what that entails, it's like your elbows or your upper arms here are the oars, and we're just moving it in one straight line, drawing circles on either side. So find some movements of this forward. You can close the eyes, keep the hips still. Keep those arms in line with each other like there's that rod, and then we'll switch directions, so drawing backwards or kayaking backwards. Feeling any nice snap, crackle, pops as we make this movement, just allowing that freedom to come to us. Good, and we can find stillness, come back to center, continue drawing those elbows out. And different movement, bringing that freedom to the upper back and neck here. So moving with the breath, let your inhale, elbows lift and the back of the palms touch each other, the back of the hands touch each other behind the head, and then exhale, draw the elbows back down, horizontal with the floor. Inhale, elbows lift, and exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. So follow this with your own breath. You can make it slow, or maybe you want to make it a little bit quicker, letting the breath guide you through the movement. And we'll find 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release the shoulders, release the hands onto the thighs, close the eyes, sit tall here. Feel the breath, feel the energy. And finally, we're going to take some movements into the head and neck here. So, keeping the rest of your body still, feel the sit bones grounding as you inhale, look off to the left, and then exhale over to the right. Inhale, look over to the left, and exhale, look over to the right. So just a very subtle movement in the head and neck. Following your own breath, feeling spaciousness awaken in the throat. And next time you look over to the left, we'll bring it all back to center. And one more stretch for the head and neck. Exhale, draw the chin to the chest. And inhale, right ear to right shoulder. Exhale, chin rolls to chest. Inhale, left ear, left shoulder. Back and forth with your own breath. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, left side. And exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, right side. Good. A few more rounds. And next time you draw that left ear to the left shoulder, we'll draw the head and neck back up, just simple seated position. And before we start our restorative practice, we'll just take some Nadi Shodhana breath work. So it's alternate nostril breathing to really balance our breath and balance our nervous system. So before we start that, I'll guide you through all the actions, but just notice your breath here. Notice the breath through each nasal passage. So oftentimes one is more prominent than the other, and that's fine. It switches off throughout the day. But just take a moment here, noticing which one is the prominent nostril, which one is getting or feels like it's getting a little bit more breath. And once you figure that out, we're going to draw our right hand in front of our nose. So let the right thumb just rest on the nasal passage of the right nostril, and then the pinky finger and ring finger can gently rest on the nasal passage of the left nostril. So remembering which one was your more prominent nostril, we'll take a deep inhalation here through both nostrils. And then plugging the prominent nostril gently, we'll exhale through the less prominent nostril. And then inhale through the less prominent nostril. At the top of the inhalation, gentle pause here as we switch to the other side. So plugging the less prominent nostril and opening the prominent, exhaling only through that one. And then inhaling through the prominent nostril. Gentle pause at the top, switching sides again, plugging prominent, exhaling through non-prominent. And inhaling. Pausing at the top and switching sides, exhaling through prominent and inhaling. So continue with this for about another minute. Just really noticing the breath, nourishing the opposite side of the brain of whatever nostril you're breathing through here. Making it nice and deep and loving. And preparing to come to a close. No hurry to get there. Our last exhalation will be through the prominent nostril. And once we do that, we can just release the hands, rest them on the thighs, sit tall, breathe through both nostrils. Lovely. And we can let the eyes gently open, and we are going to get prepared for our first restorative yoga asana. So that will be Supta Baddha Konasana. It's a reclined bound angle pose or butterfly pose. So this is the pose where we can use a strap if we have one, but if you don't have one, we won't use it. Not a big deal. So what I'm going to use for this with my yoga props is the bolster, both of the blocks, the strap, and then a blanket. So first, setting up a little ramp with the bolster and the two blocks. I'm going to place one block at the highest height at the top of the bolster, and then the second block at the medium height, about in the middle of the bolster. So we're creating a little ramp here with the bolster. And I'm also going to take a blanket and place it at the top of the bolster just so I get a nice alignment of the head and neck here. So what I'm going to do with my strap, if you have one here, is I made a loop in it. So I'm going to place that around my waist and then take the soles of my feet together. So the strap will come over my thighs, over my shin bones and around the backs of or the outsteps of my feet, I should say. And then I'm going to tighten that loop in the strap. Make sure that the metal part of the belt isn't on your thighs or anything, because that could just cause some unnecessary discomfort. So I'm going to tighten it as much as I like to have it tightened in my bound angle pose. And from here, I'm going to scooch my sit bones up to the back of the ramp and just let myself lie back here. So I want to make sure my whole spine is supported here and that nothing's sagging. So take your time to make sure you feel fully supported here. So if you're working with pillows, maybe you have a pillow stacked on more pillows, or maybe some books or blocks underneath that. And if you're not using the strap, just have the soles of the feet together. And as you lie back, if you have the strap, just put a gentle pressure of the feet gliding forward on the mat. That will just create a slight traction in the lumbar spine that should feel nice. And options here for the hands, we can rest them on the belly, or we can let them open out to the sides, palms up. See what's more comfortable for you. And just let yourself settle in here. We're going to hold our restorative poses for about 5 minutes per pose. So oftentimes in a restorative yoga practice, we hold postures even longer. So if you want to do that, definitely just pause the video once I'm moving on and take it as long as you need it. And just do a body scan here. Notice where you're feeling the pose. If the hips are tender or sore at all in this position, you can always place more pillows or blankets underneath the knees or thighs. Or maybe you just don't have the butterfly pose in the legs here. Maybe we lengthen them out long. That's also another option. It's still a nice supported back bend even with straight legs. So this pose is great for lowering blood pressure because it opens the chest and quiets the abdomen and all the organs within it. So just find a few moments really noticing the quality of your inhale and exhale as you open through that whole front body. And as we stay here in our stillness, start to allow yourself to just see the gravity of this moment. So the gravity of this actual pose. And take that awareness from within you to outside of you. So perhaps there's a lot of gravity in the world now, not in the actual what gravity is, but a lot of heaviness to what's going on in the world. And just take note of that. Let yourself breathe into that nice heavy energy, and rather than letting it make you feel down, just see it all as lessons, allowing the heaviness of it all to get you really grounded here. So feeling yourself completely supported by your props here, by your breath. Let yourself passively open. So we're not working to force or work for any openings here. We're just letting ourselves open naturally into what is. And if your awareness drifted at all here, bring it back to the breath. Noticing even with any gravity, heaviness in your heart, in the world, you always have this breath working for you. And let yourself feel grounded and healed within that gravity. And as we start to prepare to come out of our reclined bound angle pose, we can release the hands from wherever they are and just start to press the forearms into the earth. Lovingly lift yourself up. So even making our transition in restorative yoga restorative. So every movement you make it nice and loving. As you come to that seat, you can remove the strap if you use that and just draw the knees back in toward the center. Let the feet come about hip width apart and just take some gentle movements in the hips here. And as we come back to center, we'll prepare to set up for our second pose, Mountain Brook. So this is another back bend. It's a little bit more gentle. So I'm going to use 2 yoga blankets and a bolster for this. So to show you what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the blankets into kind of mini bolsters. So there'll be a really small one, a medium one, and then the regular bolster. So I'll start by opening this blanket out the long way and then just roll it a couple notches. And I'm going to let some of it free. You'll see I'm going to lay my head and neck back on this. So as you feel the space behind your neck, you just want that little roll to support that area, nothing more. If it's too big, it will counteract kind of the alignment of our neck, which we don't want. And then the second blanket, I'm going to roll at more of a medium size. So we have our small and medium makeshift bolsters, and then we have the actual one. So that small one can go under the head and neck, and our head will lie back on there. The medium one will go behind the heart, so about the low rib area, and then the actual bolster will go under the knees. So we're just going to lie back on all of this. So wherever that middle one is, see, it's in a good space where the back of your shoulders can relax onto the earth. We're going to take our arms into an I surrender position here. And then, so just notice the shoulders, the back of the head, the bum, and then the heels are resting on the earth here. Everything under there is supported. So this is our Mountain Brook, a more easeful, gentle back bend. Should feel quite comfortable. And yeah, just make sure the back of the neck is supported properly, that there's not too much back there that's causing the chin to raise up toward the ceiling. So as you set up here, bring that awareness back to the breath. Our Mountain Brook pose really helps to open the throat, which is calming to our thyroid gland. Calming the thyroid helps with balancing our hormones. And this also counteracts slumped shoulders. As you can see, your shoulders are releasing with gravity toward the earth here. And just all the support from our bolsters here, just let us passively open into this gentle shape. And the name Mountain Brook is a great name for this. So just see how your body is naturally adapting to these props, or we could call them almost like things in the river that are creating obstructions. So as you find an actual mountain brook, the natural dams, the rocks, the nature, the trees, trunks that go in the river doesn't stop flowing. It just keeps going around all those areas. So just see your body doing this too. And start to welcome in peace in your breath. So even with the heaviness, the gravity of this moment, just notice that in this actual moment here, there's nothing to fear. You have your breath. You have your body adapting so nicely and being supported with the props. So let peace arrive with every breath. If your awareness drifted, let it come back to that peaceful inhale and exhale. And in our final moments here, feeling the breath flow as a mountain brook does. And to come out of mountain brook, you can just gently bend into the knees and roll over to the right. And then lovingly make your way to an upright seat. So moving with intention between poses and taking our time to set up in each one. Treating every prop we're using as though it's a divine object. So even the setup, make it a very mindful practice. Our next pose is going to be a side lying stretch. So I'm going to use a bolster and 2 blankets for this. We can move the other ones off to the side. So I'm going to take this bolster and place it toward about the top third of my mat. And I'm going to take one of the blankets, unroll it from the small bolster we made it into, and just fold it into kind of like this flattened pillow and place it on top of the bolster. The other blanket can also be unrolled and just gently fold it in half. I'm going to use this just to place between my knees. So then coming on to our sides, we're going to lay so our side ribs are right over that bolster and blanket. So if you want less height here, you can remove that blanket, or if you want more height, you can add more height too. We're going to roll onto our sides. We'll start on our right side first, and just let that right arm extend overhead and let your head rest on the shoulder here. So different options or variations with that left arm. It can reach overhead and grab for the right arm, or maybe it wants to stay right at the side, just resting on your side body, or maybe you want the palm of the hand resting onto the earth. So play around here, see what feels best for you. And as you find your side lying stretch, once again, let those breaths get deeper. So With the side lying stretch, we're on our right side now, and we want to be right on the side body. See that you're not rolling onto your belly or onto your back at all. So there is a slight activation in this pose. But then with that, we're passively opening that left side body, that left rib cage, left lung. Find some nice deep breaths into that left lung here. This is a great pose for finding space in the intercostals, so those little muscles between each rib. And by giving them more space, it allows us to take deeper breaths, which is so healing. So spend some time here just liberating your breath in that left lung. And with certain parts of the body activated to hold you in this, maybe the arms or shoulders, still make sure to find a smoothness to your breath and a relaxed jaw, relaxed temples. As we liberate that breath, we're creating space in us to invite in deeper breaths. And as our subtle body recognizes that new space, it just allows for more peace throughout our internal being. As we find a few more deep breaths into that left lung here, we'll start to mentally prepare to switch sides in our side lying stretch. So bring that left arm back alongside of you if it went anywhere else, and just super gently work to roll onto the belly and just simply roll onto the other side. So this time our left rib cage, our left lung will be grounded into our support here, into the bolster. And then we'll just take some time setting up and seeing where our right arm wants to go. So we're always trying to match what we did on the other side, but obviously honoring if we need to take a different variation for this. Honoring if one side's telling us something different, but always working toward balance. And find that nice deep opening in that right side body, right rib cage. Liberate the breath in that right lung. Invite in deeper inhales and exhales. Feeling those intercostal muscles stretch on the right side. Continue to find that deep breath awareness in that lung. Softening the facial muscles, softening the jaw and temples. Bringing peace to that entire right side. And in the next few breaths, preparing to gently come out of our side lying stretch. We can return that hand back if it went anywhere else and gently roll onto the belly. And then make your way to an upright seat. And we'll prepare for our restorative inversion. So we're going to take Viparita Karini, Ardha Viparita Karini. So that translates to legs up the wall, or half. Ardha is half, so half legs up the wall. I'm going to use the chair for this. So I'll show you, I'll tell you how to do both things, and you do what works for you best in your space here. So I'm going to be using a chair, both blankets, and the bolster here. So I'm just going to set up the chair with the seat facing me at the edge of my mat, and I'm going to put a bolster right up against it, and then place a blanket, once again, a folded blanket on top of it, just for a little bit more height. So maybe you'll want less height, maybe you'll want more. Honor what you want here. And then I'm going to use this other folded blanket just for a headrest, just something to rest my head on. So as I come to lying on my back, we'll place that bolster with the blanket on top of it right underneath the hips, and then I'll rest the back of my calves in the chair here. And I'll lie back and set my head and neck up on the blanket just so I have a nice tilt of the chin in toward the chest. So this is an option. If you have a wall nearby, you can also do this on a wall and have the legs actually perpendicular to the floor, depending on what your hamstrings want today. So if it's a 90-degree angle, maybe your hamstrings are more open. Otherwise, you can create a little bit of space between your heels and the wall for more of an obtuse angle of your body if your hamstrings are feeling tight. But wherever you are, make sure you have that gentle lift of the pelvis here with that bolster underneath it. So setting yourself up here and allowing yourself any final movements before we find stillness in our Viparita Karini or Ardha Viparita Karini, half legs up the wall. And in yoga, our inversions are anything where the pelvis is above the heart here. So oftentimes we think of inversions as a more advanced practice where we're hands standing or head standing or forearms standing. But we can all do something like this by elevating the pelvis and reaching the legs up. It's a super healing inversion that we can all do and will benefit greatly from. So know that you can always bring this into your everyday life. Practicing this also lowers our blood pressure, and it also just helps with stagnation in the legs. So thinking about how we're always sitting or standing most days and all the blood is getting pooled down into our feet. This allows that to drain out into that abdomen area, releasing toxins and stagnation from the legs. And also giving our heart a nice good rest where it doesn't have to work so hard to move that blood flow from the legs. It's also a great pose for if we were traveling to relieve pressure from the legs. So as we stay here supported, finding our breath, just releasing into the evolution of what's happening within you right now. So feel the way energy is moving, feel what's being released. And as we release into our own internal evolution, also bringing our awareness from within us to outside of us, so microcosm to macrocosm. Find some moments reflecting on the evolution that's happening in the world currently. And just allow yourself to release into that. Perhaps we don't feel in control of what's happening around us, but finding that glimpse of trust within our breath, that all will pass, all will work out as it should, and create that greater evolution of humanity, of our planet. Let go of what might have been, bringing greater awareness of just the evolution of today, that it's what we need. Continue to deepen your breath here, but even with it being so deep, bring a silence to it so that it's not audible. Just feel your body accepting each inhalation and then letting go of each exhalation. And with that silence, feel it working so well to heal you. In our final moments here, awareness back to that full, silent breath, releasing into our own evolution. We can slowly start to work to come out of the pose. So just take a bend into the knees. If you have the chair, just push the seat of the chair away. Or if you're on a sofa, allow yourself to push slightly away from the sofa. If you're at the wall, just creep a little bit away from the wall. So we'll keep our pelvis rested on the bolster here. And just let the knees fall off to the left side. Good, and then leading with the right knee, followed by the left, we'll take those knees off to the right side. Gentle twist here. And slowly pressing into the earth, we will make our way up to a seat. And setting up with our final pose before Shavasana, we're going to take a Shalamba Sukhasana. So it's a supported, simple cross-legged pose. So I'm going to use my chair to rest my head on, and I'm going to use a blanket behind my sit bones. So to set up, I'll just move all these other props off to the side that aren't needed. And as I sit on this folded blanket to keep my sit bones elevated, I'll gently cross into the legs. And then it might be nice here too to have if you have a metal chair like me, to place a blanket on the chair just so your head's resting on something soft and warmer than a cold metal chair. Otherwise, just let your third eye or forehead rest on the seat of the chair. And see where you want to put your arms. Maybe you keep them at your sides on your knees, or maybe you fold your forearms in front of you on the chair and actually rest your head on the forearms. Just settle in here. If you don't like having your legs crossed, you can always extend the legs out under the chair too. That's a great option, but just let your seat get nice and heavy here. There's just a gentle awareness of the sit bones reaching behind you, plugging in. So we want to keep those sit bones grounded. And then with that, just letting your whole back body release here. Resting the forehead on the seat. Tune into your nice silent breath once again. This forward fold allows us to relax our organs. And also quiets our mind, allowing us to look inward. So as we stay here looking inward, just listen for what's coming up within you, what's awakening within you. Just this simple listening can give us profound healing, awakening to new possibilities. And if your legs are crossed one way and you want to make it even, you can just gently sit up, cross the legs the other way, and come back to your Sukhasana. Continue that inner listening, looking for that healing, that awakening within us. And knowing that as we find that within ourselves, it gets translated outside of us, the entire world, listening, awakening, finding that healing as we all look within. And start to tune back into that deep yet subtle, that beautiful, quiet breath. And as we prepare to come out of our supported cross-legged pose, transitioning to our final resting pose, just allowing yourself to sit up. And options here for your Shavasana. You can lie on your back and have the calves on your chair or couch or whatever you are using there, or you could take more of a traditional Shavasana. Now we have all these props here, so allow yourself to feel fully supported in your final resting pose, maybe placing a bolster beneath the knees or that folded blanket at the back of the skull, just allowing that slight support of the head and neck. Taking your time to get cozy and set up here. And as you give yourself a nice spacious setup, just let the arms lengthen out at the sides, palms up. Find a body scan here. Just letting yourself surrender into this moment, into this gravity. Letting your breath break down. Just feel your energy, almost as if it's just breaking apart within you. And noticing the breakthrough of this moment. Trusting that the breakthrough is within the breakdown. So whether that's happening inside of us, we're breaking down, or outside of us, just having trust in it, that after will come the breakthrough. And as we find the purity of all of that, just notice yourself healing so deeply. And if your awareness drifted at all, bring it back to this moment within yourself. See the gravity here. And deepen your breath as you welcome in peace to every breath. And as you welcome in that deeper peace within your breath, let the breath liberate itself. Just letting it come in and out naturally. And just release into that evolution of all that is you. And as we continue listening to that natural flow of breath, we can start to move into the fingers and toes, gently waking up the physical body. And take any movements in the wrists, the ankles, just move intuitively into yourself. Starting to bend at the knees and roll over to the side. Lying on our sides, just feel the purity of this moment. Find the deep healing within this purity. And with that, allow yourself to rise to an upright seat. You can come drawing your palms to heart center, sitting tall here. And gentle bow of gratitude, just noticing your own breakthroughs. And trusting that the breakthroughs happen with the breakdown. Thank you for practicing this restorative yoga healing practice with me. Drawing that gratitude up to the third eye center, letting the thumbs touch between the brows. Namaste.